Yes. Hello everyone, welcome to this section. So here we are going to see some questions which is previously asked in Zoho. So now here is my very first question. So I have an array of integers. I need to find the longest increasing subsequence from the given array. So what is a subsequence? The subsequence should be in longest increasing subsequence means it should be in a sequence, in a continuous order. And here the subsequence does not necessarily need to be strictly increasing. It should be progressive and doesn't decrease at any point in time. For example, 1 1 2 2 is an increasing sequence, progressive, but 1 to 1 is not a progressive sequence. Why? Because from 1 it is incrementing to 2, but again from 2 it is decrementing to 1. So decrementation or decreasing should not happen at a point of time. So it should go on increasing, right? So that is what we call it as increasing subsequence. And now we need to find the subsequence which is having the longest length. So here input format consists of length of the sequence and then t spaced separated integers. And in output I should print the longest progressive subsequence which is present in the given sequence. Here we can see the sample input and output. So in the sample input 1, 4 represents the number of elements in the array, that is 1, 1, 2 and 1. Now I need to find the increasing subsequence, that is going to be 1, 1 and 2. See, from 1 to 1 it is not strictly increasing, whereas not decreasing as well, right? So that is what we call it as progressive. So 1, 1, then from 1 it is increasing to 2. But at a point of time when it is decreasing from 2 to 1, I'll stop. So this is the longest increasing subsequence for this particular test case, and hence I am printing 1, 1, 2. Now let us look into the second test case. Here also the same thing. See, 1, 2. So from 1 it is increasing, but again from 2 it is decreasing. And but here from 1 it is increasing, and here this is a progressive sequence. So if I am taking this 1 and 2, this is having the length 2, but whereas 1 double 2 is having the length 3. So longest increasing subsequence is a sequence which is having the highest length, hence my output is going to be 1, 2 and 2. Now let us try to come up with the logic how we can solve this particular question. After that we'll move to the coding part. So the question is how to find the longest increasing subsequence in an array, in a given array of integers. So however they have given, the subsequence does not necessarily need to be strictly increasing, and it should be progressive and doesn't decrease at any point of time. So now we'll see. So here first what I'll do, I'll get some size of the array. So first I'll just take the size of the array. After getting the size of an array, I need to get the elements. So 1, 2, 1 and 1. So let me take these elements. So if this is my input, what about the output? The output is going to be 1 and 2, right? Now, so first I can read the input values in the array of size 4, and after that I am supposed to initialize some variables, right? So let me take two variables I, j and k in order to run the for loop. So these are the loop counters, and in order to find the length of the longest progressive subsequence, let me take a variable max, right? And n represents the length of the sequence, it is a size, and I should find the index of the starting element of the longest progressive subsequence. So this max represents the length of the longest progressive subsequence. So max index represents the index of the starting element, right? Now in order to take the length of the current progressive subsequence, let me take a variable F. So in order to store the current progressive subsequence, right? So first what I will do is I'll get all the input values from the user, and I'm supposed to calculate the length of the longest progressive subsequence by iterating over the elements of the array. So here my elements are 1, 2, 1 and 1, right? So what I'm going to do here it is, for each element I'll check whether if it is greater than the next element or not. So say for example, while running the for loop, the first element I'll be taking as 1. I'll be checking whether this element 1 is greater than the next element. So what is the next element? 2. So whether this 1 is greater than 2. I'm checking the condition. See, if it is greater means what I can tell? The current progressive subsequence is ended. So if this condition is satisfied, what will happen? F will be ended. What is F? The current progressive subsequence. What if the condition is not satisfied? If the condition is not satisfied, I will update the maximum length as well as the index of the start element of the longest progressive subsequence. So if this condition is not satisfied, I'll update two variables. One is max and other one is max I, which represents a maximum index of the starting element of the longest progressive subsequence, right? And after this, I'll compare the length of the, if the current progressive subsequence is ended, if it is ended, what I'll do is, I'll just compare the length of the current subsequence with the maximum length so far, right? Because already I might have got some value. So let us take this next example, 1, 2, 1, 2 and 2. So this is the length. So here the length is 2, right? And here the length is 3. So now I need to check this as well, right? So what I'll do is, I'll be checking the length of the current subsequence with the maximum length so far what I have found out. So length of the current subsequence is F. I'll check F and the maximum sequence length, right? So suppose the length of the current subsequence with the maximum length so far if it is greater, okay, it updates the maximum length and index of the start element, and also it also resets the length of the current subsequence to 0. So once I got this, so say for example, this is the current subsequence, that is F, and this is the subsequence length, the maximum length which I have found so far. Suppose if my F is greater than max, what I'll do? I'll store this value F to maximum only. Now see what will happen. Initially in F I got 3. After this in F I'll store 2. That is the maximum value. And again I'll reset the value of F, that is the current subsequence, to 0. And again I'll check. So if the current element is less than or equal to the next element, okay. So if the current element is less than or equal to the next element, yes, the condition satisfied. If it's so, I will increment the length of the current subsequence. That is, the value of F will get incremented, right? So this is what is the logic behind the question. So I'll tell you once again the logic. First I will read the input values of an array according to the size, and after that let me take some variables I, j and k for the loop counters, and max is the length of the longest progressive subsequence, n is the length of the sequence, max I is the index of the start element of the longest progressive subsequence, and f is the length of the current progressive subsequence. So first, after getting all the input values, I will calculate the length of the longest progressive subsequence by iterating over the elements of the array. So it starts by initializing f to 1 and I'll iterate over the array elements. So for each element I'll check whether it is greater than the next element. So if it is greater than the next element, that means the current progressive subsequence has ended. So it compares the length of the current subsequence with the maximum length so far, and if it is greater, it updates the maximum length and the index of the start element of the longest progressive subsequence. After that, I'll reset the length of the current subsequence to 0, and if the current element is less than or equal to the next element, I'll increment the length of the current subsequence again. So finally what I can do, after iterating over all the elements of the array, the program checks whether the length of the last progressive subsequence which we have found out is greater than the maximum length so far. If so, I'll update the maximum length and index of the start element of the longest progressive subsequence. Finally, I'll print the longest progressive subsequence by iterating over the elements of the array from the starting index to the ending index of the longest progressive subsequence. So this is the logic behind finding longest progressive subsequence. So basically, after finding all the progressive subsequence, I need to keep on checking the length as well. So the current progressive subsequence length is compared to the length which is found, the maximum length which is found so far. So if it is greater, I will re-initialize the value. I'll hold the value here, and finally I need to print the longest increasing subsequence only. Right. So this is the logic behind the question. Now let us move to the coding part. Yeah, so let me start with the main function. So inside the main function, as I told you already, first I'll get the size of an array. After that, I'll declare some for loop counters variables. So now, as of now, only 2 is needed. If so, I'll take the third one also. Okay. Or let me declare the third one here. So I need to get the value of n. So first I'll get the value of n using cn. After getting the value of n, let me declare an array which is having the size as n. And let me declare a variable max and I'll initialize it to 0. Then maximum index and the value of f, I'll initialize it to 0. Now I can run the loop for int I is equal to 0, I less than n and I plus plus. So I'll run the loop to get the values of a array a of I. So after getting the input value, let me initialize max I also 0 because I need to initialize all the variables. Now I am going to iterate through the loop. I is equal to 0, I less than n and I plus plus. So here inside the loop, no need to run till less than n. We can take n minus 1. So one step previously itself we can stop it. So for each value, what I'll do is I'll keep on incrementing the current length of the longest increasing subsequence. After this, I'll check whether the current element, that is a of I, is greater than the next element, that is a of I plus 1. So if my current element is greater than the next element, so what I'll do is I'll check one more condition, whether my current longest subsequence length f is greater than the maximum length which I have found out so far. So if it is greater, what I'll do, I'll store the max to f. So max will be is equal to f, and one other thing is I'll change the index position also. So max I is equal to from I minus f plus 1, which will give you the index position of the starting element. And once the process is done, again I'll set the current subsequence length to 0 and I'll close this. Right. So once I am coming out of this, you can increment the value, and here also if the condition is not satisfied, here also I can check whether it is greater than max, and similarly the same process I'll continue here. So maximum index is equal to my index position minus f plus 1. Yes, so this is the logic what we have seen so far. And finally, after the iteration is done, I can run another loop in order to print the array values. So from the maximum index, so from the starting element I should print, right? So from the starting element, I less than maximum, I plus max and I plus plus. Right. So here I am checking the condition. So I need to print the starting element as well. So here if you see, from 1 till 2 I need to print, right? So 1, 2 and 2 I am printing. So from the starting element I will be printing it out, right? So that is the reason first 1 is getting printed, then 2 and then again 2. So here while running the loop, I will be running I is equal to max I. So that represents this maximum index. That is max I is the start element of the array, right? So I am printing 1. And unless the condition is less than maximum I plus max. So this represents a index position. So this represents an index position. This represents a maximum length of the increasing subsequence. So until it is lesser than 0, I'll be running this loop. And for each value, what I can do is I'll be printing a of I, so that it will get printed. So after printing each element, I should leave a space as well. So now I can stop the process here. Yeah. So the same thing, what I am doing is I'll check whether my first element is greater than the next element. If the first element is greater than the next element, it is ended. So longest increasing subsequence is ended, right? So we can't do anything more here, right? If not, I'll go to the logic. So if not, what I'm going to do, I'll be just checking wherever I'm getting the condition satisfied. So each time when the condition is getting satisfied, so each time when the first element is lesser than or equal to the next element, each time when the condition is getting satisfied, I should keep on incrementing the length. Finally, I'll be checking whether the length found out of the current subsequence is greater than the length which I have found so far. If so, I'll replace the value and I'll print the value which is having the highest length. So if the current subsequence is having the highest length, I'll print the current subsequence length. Alright, so I'll print it. So in order to print, I am making use of this particular for loop. Right. Now, yeah, let us run the code. Yes, it has passed all the test cases. Now let us move to the next question. Here, given an integer matrix of size m cross n, where m is the number of rows and n is the number of columns, I need to traverse it in a spiral form. So here, the first line contains m and n, which represents the number of rows and columns of a matrix. The next m lines contains n values, each representing the values of the matrix. So here we can see it is a 3 cross 3 matrix. I need to print it in the spiral form. So now let us see the logic behind the question first. So let me take a 3 cross 3 matrix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So this is my input, and in my output I should print spirally. So 1, 2, 3, then 6, 9 will get printed, then 8 and 7 will get printed, then 4 and 5 will get printed, right? So this is how I'll print. Now let us see the logic. So this is a 2D matrix which consists of both rows and columns. So hence I'm gonna solve it using index position. So let me, in order to avoid confusion, so actually the array index position starts with 0, but in order to avoid the confusion, let me start using 1 here in order to explain the logic. Doing the code, if you want, you can start with 1 also, that is not a problem. If not, you can start with 0 as well. So here the index position is 1, 1, this is 1, 2, this is 1, 3, 2, 1, here it is 2, 2 and here it is 2, 3. This is 3, 1, 3, 2 and 3, 3. So first I am supposed to print. See here, I'll be making use of 4 for loops the first for loop is used to print from left to right. So from left to right in the sense 1, 2 and 3 will get printed, right? So here if you see the index position, so let me take A of I and J, where I represents a row and J represents a column. So I value, it is constant here, right? But what about the J value? J value keep on incrementing. So this is always 1, whereas the J value is 1, 2 and 3. So it is incrementing from 1 to my number of, so this represents a number of columns. So if it is 4 columns, it will go till 4. If it is having 10 columns, it will go till 10. So from 1 till the column, I am incrementing the value of J, right? So this one loop is used to print 1, 2, 3. Now I need to print this 6 and 9. So for 6 and 9, let me take one another for loop. So to print in the downward direction. Okay. So in order to print the downward direction, see the position A of I and J, where J is constant. So it is always 3 here. So which represents a number of column. Now what about the value of A? I is 2 and 3. So what I can do, the value of I, if you have initialized it as 1, here while printing you can start from I is equal to I plus 1. Now I need to print this 8 and 7. So I am taking another for loop in order to print from right to left. So here the index position is 3, 2 and 3, 1. So in the place of A of I and J, I is constant again and the value is 3. What about J? J is 2 and 1. So it is decrementing. Finally, I need to print this 4. So for that again I am taking a for loop. So in order to print in the upward direction, whereas 2, 1, right? So the same thing you can take A of I and J. So say for example, if I am having one other part, this one only remains constant, right? I need to stop the process here itself. No need to go till 1 because this one got printed already. So here J only it is constant and it is always going to be 1, whereas the value of I will decrement only here because I am printing from down to up, right? So it will get decremented only. And again finally I am having one value. So how to print this value? This is very easy. See, say for example, let me take some 4 cross 4 matrix. Okay, so for each time we are not supposed to repeat the process. What I can do is we can just make a small change here. Okay, so the value of I we can increment and the value of J you can decrement. So just make a small change and run all the 4 for loops again inside a main for loop. So say for example, let me take a 4 cross 4 matrix. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So sorry, this is a 5 cross 5 matrix. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So first this process is done, right? So once the process is done, it will print till 6. Again I should repeat the process only. Again I am going to repeat the process only. So we are just going to repeat the process. Only thing is we are going to make the changes in the value of I and J. That's it. So remaining everything remains the same over here. Now let us solve the question. Yeah. So this is going to be very easy. So let me declare n, I and j. So where n represents a total number of array values. So C in n and int a of n and n. So I am declaring a 2, 2 matrix. So n and m, right? Sorry, n, and I should declare one other variable m. So while getting the input, I'll be getting the value of n and m from the user. So n represents the number of rows and m represents the number of columns, right? So now in order to get the input value, I want to declare some two loops. So variable I have declared already. I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Inside this, for j is equal to 0, j less than m, and j plus plus. So I am running two loops. Inside this, I'll get the values of a 2D array. So a of I and j, right? So after getting these two loops, I am making use of one main for loop, and in this main for loop, see, if you take, okay, once again, see, if we take a 4 cross 4 matrix or 5 cross 5 matrix, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows and 5 columns it is having, right? So 1 round, then 2 round and 3. So if the value of n is 5, okay, I just want to run the loop only for 3 times, right? So no need of running till 5. Instead of that, 5 divided by 2 we can take, but it results in 2.5. So ceil of 5 divided by 2, which gives you 3. So until it is reaching 3, so 3 times I should run the loop. So in order to, like, you can run till 5 also, but it's just a waste of time. So in order to make sure this is a efficient one, I'm just running till half of n. So here you can run till ceil of n by 2. So for I is equal to 0, I less than, or it should be equal to only, equal to ceil of n by 2, right? Now I can increment the value of I. So let me take another loop. For j is equal to I, for j is equal to I, j less than or equal to n, n minus I minus 1 and j plus plus. So here while printing, because j value only it's keep on changing, right? So I'll be printing a of I and j only. So after printing each value, I should leave a space as well. Now while running the second loop, as I told you already, I should run from I plus 1, and j I can run the same thing, less than or equal to n minus I minus 1 and j plus plus. So inside this, I am gonna print cout. Here the value of j remains constant, but the value of the next loop, it remains n minus I minus 1 only. Here also the same thing. So after printing each value, I should leave a space. Yeah. Now the third for loop, for j is equal to, so this here I can take n minus I minus 2. So the value of n, here if you see it is 3. So 3 minus I, 0. So 3 only. And 3 minus 2, 1, which represents 1. So j I can give, see, if I want to represent 1, I am giving n minus I minus 2. But whereas after each iteration, it should change accordingly, right? That is the reason I am giving it as a value in terms of I, so that I keeps on changing each time. So j should be greater than or equal to I, decrementing process. So j minus minus. Now here while printing, I will be printing cout of a of the same n minus I minus 1 and j. So after printing each element, I should leave a space. So now again, when I am running the loop, my loop is going to be the same. So I am running the same loop. For j is equal to n minus I minus 2 and j greater than, not equal to I. Why? Because the one value is already printed, whereas here it should be equal to only. And j minus minus. So here while printing, I'll print a of j and I. It's a space, right? So now I can close this out. So since I have used the function c bits std c++ dot h. So first j is equal to I, j less than or equal to n minus I minus 1. A of I and j I'll print I plus 1, j less than or equal to n minus I minus 1, and here I'll be printing j and n minus I minus 1. So this I'll be running n minus I minus 2, but this is a decrementing loop. Here I'll be running till I, here I'll run greater than I, and a of j I will get printed over here. Now let me run the code. Okay, there is an error. Okay, I need to eliminate this. Yeah, it has passed all the test cases. So this is how we will be printing the spiral pattern. So 2 questions we have solved. So one is how to find the longest increasing subsequence. Other one is how to print the spiral pattern. So Zoho is going to open many recruitments is going to happen in 2023. So please make sure you are applying for that. Both off campus and on campus is going to be happen. So it is a drive for freshers only, and the job role is going to be software developer. So locations is also given. So you can check on the link and you can apply before the deadline. So basically we'll be having the coding questions from data structures. It's a medium to hard level questions you can expect. So that's it, people. Thank you.